This is a presentation of Northeast Streaming Sports. You're listening to TGI Sports Talk with your host Keith Angle on Northeast Streaming Sports.
Good morning, everybody, and happy Christmas Eve day. Keith Engel here for TGI Sports Talk right here on the Northeast Streaming Sports Talk Network. We got the Are You Serious edition of our program this morning. I'll be bringing in the Mad New Yorker, Carlos Chavez, in a bit. Today we're going to talk about, it's firing season. The unfortunate part about the holidays, it is firing season. And I guess with the season going longer, at least it's a blessing. Coaches aren't getting fired, Christmas or the day after Christmas. I guess it's a blessing in a way for them, but it still is the season for firing coaches. So we're going to take a trip around the league today, talk about the coaches we think are in trouble. And I hope Carlos has got a couple or a potential replacement for the guys we think could be in trouble. And we'll see how long that takes. It'll take a little while to go around the league. We'll take your comments as well. We certainly want that. We certainly hope you guys are going to have a blessed Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, by the way, or whatever holiday it is that you do celebrate at this time of year. We hope you enjoy that and you are safe and happy with your families and friends. So please do that. And best of all the holiday seasons from all of us at TGI Sports Talk. We will talk, if we have some time, about some of the issues I have. And I haven't talked to Carlos about this, but we got another cancellation in college football last night. A bowl game canceled out in Hawaii because Hawaii with some roster issues. Texas A&M's already out of the Gator Bowl, and look at it. COVID is not the situation that's causing all these issues. There's multiple things that are causing this, and it's not good for college football. And if we have time, we'll talk about that a little bit. And we'll also touch on maybe the Buc Showalter situation. But with that, one reminder before I bring Carlos in, we will not be on live with the Sunday Stream of Consciousness this week just because of some family obligations and timing issues. So I might pop in at some time during the day and do a little bit of chit chat with you guys, but we'll see how it goes. But with that, let me bring in our co-host, the Mad New Yorker, Carlos Chavez. How are you, Carlos?
Good morning, everybody. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas Eve. Doing all right.
I want to
trying to recover from the snow blast that we got last night. Wasn't much, but it was enough to wake people up with the coldness in the air. So,
well, we get 3 inches up here. It's not like the end of the world. You get 3 inches in, near the city. It's like, shut everything down, right?
Now you got to get your boots out and your gloves and your scarf and everything else just to fit in the background.
Before we start with today's topics, I do need to point out that after my backing of Aaron Judge as the face of the Yankees, Carlos has tried to squarely put me as just a Judge, sycophant with giving me a bobblehead. But thank you. It's a wonderful
Merry Christmas.
I appreciate that very much. Thank you. Now I have your address, so you be careful what's coming your way.
Oh, geez. And I just want to put out there that the Yankees are out on trying to sign Bellinger because he signed apparently with the Dodgers before the lockout. So he's out. He's out of the question now for sure.
Let's hope that they're not talking to him because obviously now we'd be in breach of the lockout and we'd have all kinds of more problems. Good morning, Dave Guyette. How are you today? David will be happy to hear probably. He's a big Yankee fan. He may not be happy with some of my comments about his Buffalo team today, but we'll see how that goes. And Kenny Gifford's in this morning, early.
Good morning, fellas.
How are you? You've got some snow, I'll bet you, up there on the mountain. And I hope you're doing well. Who else we got here? Okay, Carlos, guess. No, I didn't share your address, Carlos. I promise. That's funny, though. If you see something from Bleecker Mountain, definitely get a dog, a bond sniffing dog or something. Coaching staff is all set. We got that. So anyway,
Eric Chavez, yeah. He's not related to me, by the way.
Yeah, we'll talk more about that when we get into some more baseball. I thought that was an interesting hire, and Aaron Boone looks at him as a jack of all trades. So I think that'll be kind of an interesting thing as we go forward. Unfortunately, with the holidays, it always brings around in the NFL season. It's firing for coaches, unfortunately, and a lot of them are probably not going to be excited to look at their stockings the next couple of weeks.
So let's start it. NFC North Division is going to lose two coaches. Two coaches.
All right, you're jumping around on me, but that's fine. We can start wherever you want. NFC North?
Yes, let's do this.
Let's go team by team. If they're safe, we don't spend a lot of time. If they're in trouble, we'll talk a little bit about it and potential replacements. Let's start Green Bay Packers. I say he's safe. I mean,
he's safe. The administration, they like LaFleur up there. I'm not a big fan of Shanahan, Tree, and LaFleur brothers, but
we know that
he's safe up there. What he needs to do is he needs to solidify his coaching, his assistant coaching. After firing the coaches last year, which he had great coaches, I don't know why he fired them, but then he replaced a few of them. You need to get some coaches in there that got some winning experience, man, and that's what Green Bay needs. Even though right now they look hot, they're in a really, really poor division. So anybody coming out of that division and the AFC East is going to look like a super team. So
I had some issues with some of his play calling, obviously last year in the playoffs, but I think given all the drama surrounding that team and Aaron Rodgers, I think he's done a remarkable job this year. So he's definitely safe in my mind.
Yeah, conservative.
Mike Zimmer with the Vikings, I think he's on. If he makes the playoffs and wins a game,
he's out, man.
It's possible he's safe, but I think he's out myself.
The fan base out there don't like him anymore. They got the quarterback they're paying a lot of money for. I think they're both going to be sailing away. They're both going to be out. I don't know who's going to pick up that quarterback on that contract, though.
Well, given that comment, I mean, who do you see as a potential replacement here in Minnesota? Who would fit?
Who fits in Minnesota? So, what are their strong features right now? Their defense, right?
Well, their defense and their running game.
The running game's okay.
It's healthy.
Yeah, that's a problem right there, right? Health for the running back. I don't know. When you open up the books and you go defensive, no. You bring in somebody young, you bring in somebody old. What do you think?
If you're going to go defensive, Dan Quinn's going to be a candidate here, I think. But
Dan Quinn,
I'd like to see them go more with an offensive guy. And this is a place where Brian Daboll's name will come up from Buffalo. He's going to come up in a lot of names. Eric Bieniemy is going to come up in a lot of places.
You know who we'd like to bring up? Somebody who's got make that purple people eaters defense maybe. An old name like maybe Don Martindale from the Ravens.
Don Wink Martindale. He will definitely be. He got a couple interviews last year, and I think you're right. He's been around a long time. That's a good one. I have him on my list. I didn't have him really tagged to a certain team though.
But that looks like a team that wants to bring back the old defensive mind. Get some. They have already pieces there. They just need to add a couple more guys.
And I'll give you another name here to watch in the Vikings because I did make a note here. Doug Peterson is going to be back in the NFL. That'll be one of my predictions. This year, Doug Peterson will be back after a year hiatus after getting fired by the Eagles.
But to the Vikings?
Another shot.
You think he wants to go back to a cold weather team?
Well, but I play inside. I mean, how cold can it be? 74?
He'd be better off than in Philadelphia for sure.
Well, he's not going back there, so.
No. It's not going back. I don't think he's going back to the East Coast, man. You know who I see him, and I'll mention this a little bit later, but maybe Seattle. So let's move on to the next team.
Yeah, we'll move on to the Bears. Matt Nagy,
Chicago Bears.
Should have been fired last year in my mind.
Should have never been hired, maybe. Maybe they were reaching.
Yeah, I just don't think they should have given the keys to a franchise quarterback after the way he handled Mitchell Trubisky, who I still think is can be a decent player in this league. That's a topic for another show. But I think Nagy's gone. And here's my boldest prediction. I think this will be Pat Fitzgerald from Northwestern.
Oh, no. I don't think so. I think they might go with Raheem Morris, maybe. Defensive-minded
Maybe
coach.
Morris. He's going to come up again. He did. I mean, look at what's Raheem Morris done. He was with Tampa Bay, didn't do tremendous.
Didn't do good because he was pushed into the position because Gruden, fell out of favor there. But Raheem Morris is the one saving grace for the Rams right now.
Yeah, he's done a good job there. Yes.
Sure. I mean, he's got the players. So, you take if you got the players on defense and you get a defensive defense-minded coach who was a defensive coordinator.
Yeah.
It helps you a little bit. I don't see them bringing someone like Bowles into the mix.
Todd Bowles' name's coming up a lot again, and I'm not a Jet fan, but you are, and
he was a good coach.
I've seen enough of Todd Bowles to see what he can do. I don't think he'll get another chance, but
he just had a terrible.
You're right.
They were just doing terrible, bringing people in and out in New York during his time. He didn't step up, maybe to say, "Hey, I don't want that player," or "Hey, we need another player." That Leonard Williams pick is what really messed him up because everybody expected him to do better.
Yeah, I think it's very possible that Tampa Bay loses both their coordinators this coaching cycle. If Bowles goes, I think Leftwich. We'll get to that later. I think Leftwich is a dead solid lock for one of these teams.
So my prediction for Chicago will be Bieniemy, and if I were Bieniemy, what I would try to do, and I know he doesn't want to do this, but I would tag along Mr. Raheem Morris.
I mean, if you do that, you start to, a guy, well, he may interview for the job. So doesn't that cause, and we see this once in a while, right? Guys will interview for the same job and then they'll get hired on that coach's staff. And I got to believe it sets up for some awkwardness.
Well, I mean, Bieniemy is passive, right? And Raheem Morris is passive aggressive. So they'll work together, and if you're a coordinator, you want to be in a position where if something bad happens, you know that you're going to be, the next in line, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the way I look at it.
Yeah. Kenny talks about the recycling of coaches, and you're not wrong, Kenny, but so far we've talked about a couple of brand new. I've talked about Pat Fitzgerald. We talked about Eric Bieniemy, Raheem Morris. I mean, he's not really one of the old guard, so I wouldn't really consider him he'd certainly be a retread, but certainly not on the same. He hasn't been around 15 different jobs like some of these guys.
No, he's been more in the coordinating jobs and then.
All right, let's move on to the Lions. Listen, Dan Campbell's going to get another year here. I think there's no way they're going to fire him. And to be honest with you, winning 2 games here is not a horrendous season for this team that's bereft of talent in my mind.
What people keep forgetting about the Lions is that the spread of the games, man, less than 10 points is not bad. Losing some of these games,
There's Dan Quinn, maybe. I'm not sure where Alan. Sometimes the problem with the comments, guys, is there's such a delay. I don't know which you can make a comment, Alan. I'll bring it back up where you were mentioning Quinn for. Might have been for the Bears. I think we're on the Bears then. So anyway, I think the Lions stay pat. Tampa Bay, I would say there's no way they're firing Arians, but if he wins a second Super Bowl in a row, he's not a young guy. He's had some health problems. There's a potential he'll walk away, but I don't think he's going to walk away as long as, his number 12 is his quarterback.
Yeah, and if he does walk away, Brian Leftwich, I think, is a shoo-in for the job, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
and if that happens, it throws my other prediction out the window. But
I know. I think I know where you want Leftwich to go.
I think Arians will stick around at least until 12 retires. So that'll make Arians about 90 when Tom Brady retires.
Unless he's on the same plan, man. If he's on the TB12, he'll be all right.
Alan's just talking about the head coach anyway. Dan Quinn.
Oof, I don't know, man.
Dan Quinn's going to, again, I'll tell you what. Dan Quinn is a really good defensive coordinator. And there's a lot of guys in this league that are good offensive coordinators and defensive coordinators and cannot be head coaches. There is no coach in this that I can remember, and this is hyperbole, I'm sure, no coach in the history of the NFL that has blown as many big second half leads as this guy and his teams. And one big one that I can think of off the top of my head. but a bunch of them. What are your thoughts? Yeah, I mean, again, I don't think he's going to get a job. I think, but I don't.
How about this? He was at Seattle, right? What if he returns to Seattle?
Yeah, and I think Pete Carroll again is kind of in the Bruce Arians situation. He's getting up there. I think he's the second oldest coach in the league, if I'm not mistaken.
If you get rid of Pete Carroll, it's not because he's old, man. You get rid of him because
if Pete Carroll walks, he's going to walk away on his own. He's not getting fired in Seattle. I don't think. But again, Pete Carroll's he's a young 70 though, man. I remember a couple of years ago when I saw he was 68, I think at the time, and I'm like, there's no way Pete Carroll's 68 years old. You watch him, you think he's still, in his 50s, watching him coach. So I think he's got some coaching left. And I think it depends on what this team.
Now, how many times did Dan Quinn take the Falcons to the playoffs?
How many times?
Yeah, about 4 or 5.
I think I want to say 3 times.
Three, right?
I want to say 3 times, but he lost. He blew the biggest lead in the biggest game, and that's going to follow him around forever.
I know. I don't know. That's a good idea though, Dan Quinn.
Ready to be another Y.E. Tittle. You're going to see him on the ground with his head bleeding and his helmet off, Kenny. I don't know. Game's a little different today. I get your point, though. I think Tom Brady will know when it's time to go. Quinn did he did. I agree, 100%. He is a great defensive coordinator, Alan. I will not debate that even a little bit. He's done a great job in Dallas this year. That doesn't make you a great head coach, unfortunately. So anyway, let's move on to.
Here's the thing: if Seattle does pick up Quinn, they can keep Norton as a defensive coordinator.
Yep,
and that'll be a good combination. Norton with a little help of Quinn, I think, can boost up that defense. But then again, in a place like Seattle, you can have as much defense as you want, right? But you need to score points because you're in the West, and those are high scoring games that you're going to be in.
Well, they've done nothing to help Russell Wilson up there for the last 5 years, so. Maybe Pete Carroll's tired. Who knows?
How about we stay in that division? Stay in that division with the Seahawks.
Yeah, let's stay in the NFC East. I don't think this one's going to take us too long. We already talked about the Giants situation last week a lot. I mean, I think Judge gets another year, and I don't know if that's a good thing if Gettleman
I think he gets another year. And I think the Giants will probably stay inside now. There's a lot of talk of them keeping within the organization with the new GM, so they might not go outside and get someone like Riddick. They'll just probably stay inside, stay with Adams.
Well, if that would help Joe Judge's situation, if it was somebody who's already there, for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Just a quick note before we move on: Russ likely won't stay in Seattle either. I don't doubt that. The quarterback, and it's a different topic, but the quarterback situation in free agency or movement in any direction is going to be interesting with Russell Wilson and Aaron Rodgers likely to be changing addresses.
Here's my thing. I think Rodgers might stay because there's stability in Green Bay, right? But who's definitely leaving is Carr in Las Vegas and Wilson in Seattle. So,
well, look at Rodgers is a selfish player, and
you're gonna leave.
He'll stay.
His problem is that he's in a poor division, so there's no competition. So when he makes the playoffs, he doesn't realize that he's got to play harder.
He complains about. We're getting off topic a little bit, but he complains all the time about them not getting him weapons. He's got 2 of the best offensive weapons in football on his team in Devontae Adams and what's the running back's name? Aaron Jones.
Yeah, Jones.
Right, and then the team's good enough to be 1 play away from going to the Super Bowl last year. 1 play. So don't tell me they don't give you good players, Aaron. And you also, by the way, don't do anything to help the team cap-wise.
You go as far as your leaders go, man. And his leader is Matt LaFleur, and you already know how I feel about that. So he can complain all he wants, but I think that falls on the coach right there, for sure.
If the Packers win, he'll stay. Well, you know what? He's one of the most selfish players in football in my mind. And we can carry a whole show about Aaron Rodgers. I can go on. Dallas Cowboys, McCarthy's not going anywhere.
No, he's got another season or two
for sure.
Jerry Jones don't like to flip on coaches too soon.
It won't cost him this year, but the postseason is going to be very important for McCarthy this year. He can't go out in the first round. That will hurt. It won't hurt him next year, but
I mean, is he going to have a complete roster for any of his last 3 games, man?
We don't know if anybody will. Who will?
Yo, these Cowboys. They on paper they look very competitive. They look like a good team. You place a bet and you're like, you don't know if you should place that bet or not, man. But McCarthy's gonna stay.
I agree. Philadelphia, I was down. I wasn't really happy with this hire, and I'll tell you what, he's done a great job there because that team is not that talented. I'm not a Jalen Hurts fan. And he's 7-7, and he's in the playoffs right now, I believe.
Yeah, he's doing better than Judge, right?
He's doing better than Judge and a lot of other guys. So
yeah, so I think they have a lot of confidence in him because he's young, and he needs to just keep surrounding himself with winning players, again, winning coaches. They might change a few coaches there, like coordinators, but they're not gonna move him, I don't think. But next year he better show up. Next year the team better show up because next year is going to be a totally different game.
Yeah, Jerry Jones is not going to settle for just playoff appearances going forward after this year.
No,
I mean, this is a step ahead, but
yeah, but McCarthy, him and McCarthy got a relationship going. So you know how Jerry Jones is when he gets in a relationship with coaches.
Well, I've said this many times that the Cowboys' biggest problem is Jerry Jones, and when they hire a real football guy to run that organization, that's when they'll win a Super Bowl again.
I mean, McCarthy. Look, the thing with McCarthy is that he right now, who's he got as offensive coordinator? He might go right. So, Kellen Moore, where's he going to go? Right?
I think he's going to get a job this year myself.
Right,
so.
right. So, who will McCarthy pick to replace him? And is that going to save his grace? You know what I'm saying?
Agreed. So, Alan, who's a Cowboy fan, agrees on Jones. Finishing up the East, I just realized I started the South and then I jumped to the East. But let's finish up the East with Washington. I don't think Ron Rivera is going anywhere. I think
Ron Rivera is safe, man. You got a mess in Washington as far as administration is going. Yeah. He's got the team focused. He's got quarterbacks playing out of their heads that are not, top tier quarterbacks. Although maybe they have a case for themselves that they could be. But again, the competition level in the East is not as high as it should be right now.
Yeah.
You compare these 2 quarterbacks in Washington, the Washington football team, to Daniel Jones and Hurts, they're up. They're already on the up, right?
Yeah. This team was hurt badly by what was supposed to be one of the best, if not the best, defense in football this year. Their first part of the season, they were horrible.
Right. But so on the defensive end, they're great. So now what Ron Rivera needs is to, get an offensive coordinator in there to help him pick up the pieces here. You know what I'm saying?
I'll tell you what, Heineke is a guy that I think has got some talent, can play in this league. So we'll see.
He looks the eye test is giving you all that, right?
Yeah.
But the problem is that, again, the competition level has been sporadic, right? And do you want something more solid than Heineke? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and
are you going to pay him? Are you going to pay him 12, 15, 20 million?
Oh, probably not. I mean, they're probably going to, but again, it depends. I mean, this is a team, this is an intriguing team. This is a team that is not that far away. And this is a team to watch out for with a guy like Russell Wilson, maybe even Aaron Rodgers, guys who are looking to move around. They're going to look for teams that are ready to take the next step. And Washington's a place to keep your eye on with this quarterback movement.
You got to look around. There's a story about how Heineke just made like an extra like $500,000 because he's been playing out his contract.
Yeah. Real quick, Alan, I agree Gettleman needs to go, but you can't fire Snyder, unfortunately. He's going to have to fire himself by selling a team. So just like Jerry Jones, as you're well aware of. So let's get back to the South, where I started with the Bucs. We're done there. For some reason, I decided to jump out of that division, but let's go back there. The Saints, there's no way Sean Payton's there until
Sean Payton. If the Saints lose a coach, it's because Sean Payton wants to retire or maybe go somewhere else or do something else, right? Yeah. Sean Payton is somebody who looks like he might want to get into the administration and and push things around. How about Sean Payton come back to the Giants? I'd love to see him here.
That'd be interesting. But you know what? Here's something to consider with all of these head coaches. The way the salaries and look at being able to just jump from job to job in college, you may start seeing a movement of NFL coaches to college. When you got guys like Mel Tucker, really good coach, but he hasn't been around forever, getting a $10 million contract this year, you may see NFL coaches going the other way.
But here, Keith, is the old saying is like, why go back to college when I'm already in the NFL, right?
Money.
Yeah, but the thing is that
there's nothing left for Sean Payton to prove. And again, I'm just using him as an example. Right. I'm not saying he's going back to college, but a guy like Sean Payton, who's won Super Bowls, he's done all he can do in the NFL. You talked about another challenge. Going to win an NCAA championship would be a challenge if the right job opened up.
I think the challenge right now the challenge right now in New Orleans is like, who's my quarterback going to be for the future?
Yeah.
Right.
And again, there's a place to watch free agents.
And if Sean Payton can't fix that, then he might win Super Bowls and stuff. But as an owner and a GM coming in, they're gonna be like, well, you're gonna have an issue, naming a quarterback. You're gonna have issues, running an offense.
Another place to keep an eye on Russell Wilson, because I think he'd probably love to play for Sean Payton.
He'd probably play for Sean Payton, but that team is missing a few pieces, man.
Well, I don't know that they're that far away. They still got some pretty good they got some good backs and some good wide receivers, which is half the battle. And
so here's the thing. Here's an interesting concept. You want to get Wilson? Do you trade your two quarterbacks for one quarterback?
Yeah, well. Yeah, I mean, I'd probably make that trade because neither one of those other two quarterbacks is going to take you anywhere. I don't know if Seattle does. Who knows what they're going to do. I was going to look
next. The Panthers, right? The Panthers are next.
We'll go to the Panthers. I was going to go to the Falcons. We'll go to the Panthers, and I thought Matt Rule was safe.
He's coming up in a lot of articles as somebody who might not be safe there.
Yeah, I've noticed that the last week or so, and it kind of firing Joe Brady feels like a panic move. I like Joe Brady. I think Joe Brady's going to get a job in the NFL next year as an offensive coordinator and will be a head coach at some point.
Next year as a coordinator, Joe Brady.
I think he'll be back in the league as a coordinator next year.
Where?
We do. I think he's that good.
You think Dallas will pick him up to replace
Kellen Moore if he moves? Yeah. Maybe.
How about that?
I like Matt. I thought Matt Rule was a great hire here in Carolina, and it just hasn't worked out. And not all his fault because injuries. Every year McCaffrey's hurt, unfortunately, and he is the heart of that team. When he's healthy, that's a good football team.
So you make the case, injuries, right? So is he the one putting these guys in the wrong position at the wrong times? You know what I'm saying? Is he running McCaffrey too much?
Well, McCaffrey's getting hurt before Matt Rule is there. This isn't new for him. I mean,
but he hasn't been on the roster much this year, or when he's been there. So
yeah.
And then on top of that, you went out and you picked the Jets wide receiver, one of the Jets wide receiver, and their quarterback. They haven't done much.
Gillen Simeon. So, who's playing quarterback for the Saints this week? Oh, Ian Book. That's right. Kenny had mentioned this earlier. Sorry, Kenny. Alan brings it up, but Kenny had mentioned it earlier. I was kind of waiting to get to the Saints. So, Kenny did beat you to that scoop, Alan, but Kenny's a big Notre Dame fan. So, I'll tell you what. Ian Book is a guy, in the right situation, he could be. If the Patriots hadn't taken Mac Jones where they took him, I was in favor of them waiting to the 4th, 5th round and taking a guy like Ian Book. I like his game. I love his moxie.
Yeah, he's a gamer, right? But the problem with him is his size, man.
Good morning, Rick Sherlock.
Good morning, Mr. Sherlock.
By the way. Just an FYI. I've got, just to get you up to date, Rick, and you can make a comment if you like, and we'll go backwards. I have fired, and I think Carlos has as well, has fired Mike Zimmer, and I've got Doug Peterson coming in and taking that job, and I think you had Eric Bieniemy, I think.
No, I have Don Martindale.
Oh, that's right. Don Wink Martindale, right. Forgot. The Atlanta Falcons. Smith's done a fine job there. I mean, look at with the injuries they've had, and they still don't have a complete team.
Old Titans OC.
Say that again.
The old Titans offensive coordinator. He's okay, man. His weapons. He lost a major weapon in the wide receiver. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that they were playing some pretty good football.
They were playing okay. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, and they're still in the hunt. I mean, they're not out. So I think he's done a good enough job this first year for sure.
His defense is not holding up. You know, that's a problem. And then they're not scoring enough points because they're one weapon short. So maybe he needs a little bit more support by some older guys in there and coordinating. You know,
Matty Ice might get traded this year. They may look to fill some pieces, get some draft picks. There's going to be.
You're going to put him on the block too?
Hey, how about Matty Ice on that Saints team?
That's a better fit.
Division,
but they wouldn't trade him into. Yeah, they wouldn't play him.
He'd look good. There's a couple of teams he'd look good on. Washington get him.
You mentioned Matty Ice. You know what? First team that popped in my head, the Minnesota Vikings.
Yeah, I'm not a big Kirk Cousins fan, and I don't remember where Rick falls on Cousins. I'm not a big fan. Atlanta could draft a quarterback this year. Yes, Alan. I think
what team won't draft a quarterback in any round this year?
Yeah. The problem is the quarterback
class is weak.
After Pickett and maybe Lewis from Liberty, that's going to be about it. Losing Cook against the Rams may finish them, and I agree that's going to be a tough loss. So
Zim lost it last year, man. They're just giving him an extra year.
Yeah. Let's move on to the West here. And again, back to Matty Ice to the Vikings. Again, you got a big contract in Kirk Cousins that you got to find something to do with first. But
hey, Matty Ice's contract ain't too shabby.
Yeah. No, agreed. But you can't.
How about you trade contract for contract and you make these guys
Falcons aren't taking that contract on if they move Ice.
Hey, listen. Kirk Cousins with Pitts. It's not a bad idea, Kirk Cousins is more of a tight end guy than a wide receiver guy anyway. So
I'd rather put a young guy in there if I'm the Falcons. Let's move on to the West. The Arizona Cardinals. Absolutely, there's no way Kingsbury's in trouble there. Obviously,
Kingsbury's okay.
He's doing a good job. They've lost 2 in a row, but this is an exciting football team, and they've improved the defense even with Watt being out for the year. So I think he's done a really good job there.
So tomorrow's matchup, Frank Reich versus Kingsbury, right? This is where you're gonna see where the rubber meets the road, right? Because you got Indianapolis Colts who are on the up, right? And they got to win, and they're trying to win that division, which I don't know if they'll win because Tennessee won last night. But and then you have Arizona who's trying to not seem like a bad team, right?
Yeah.
So it's gonna be a really good game, right?
I think it's a fun game. I think we'll get a chance to see where both those teams stand as we get close to the playoffs. Yes.
Yeah.
The Rams, McVay's not in any trouble there unless for some
reason. I
think
McVay is in trouble. If he doesn't make look, if your administration and your GM is paying a lot of money for all these players to come in and you can't win, come on, man. Are you serious? Let's make a move. Now, get that Shanahan tree and chop it down. Get it out of the NFL.
I know you hate anybody who ever talked to Kyle Shanahan or Mike Shanahan. I understand you hate that. And we got to get into your coaching issue at some point. I don't know if we're going to have time today. I promise.
John McDaniels to the Rams. Bam.
Wow. All right. That's a bold prediction right there. I say McVay's safe. McVay's turned a team that was going nowhere around.
Okay, but look.
Change the culture. They love him. He's got a hot supermodel wife or something, and he
sent away their golden boy to Detroit, and got the gamer, and the gamer has just started to get in a little, winning streak. But without Cooper Kupp, this team is not successful. So if Kupp goes, so does.
You like to say injuries. You can't blame coaches for injuries, but.
Yeah, but you run it. The problem is the run and plays for players that they don't have, and that's the issue with the Shanahan playbook. Man, look what happened last night. Tennessee came up. Shanahan was winning by 10 points, and Tennessee came up and ended up coming in with the win.
All right. Well,
the Shanahan game book does not work, man.
Since we're on the Shanahan game book, I guess that we got to go to San Francisco. And I know we're going to disagree here because Kyle Shanahan is not.
He's out.
He's not getting fired.
Yeah, if he's not getting fired this season, next season he's out of there.
He's done a great job here with a flawed football team in my mind. And it's not, listen, if he goes, then so does Lynch have to go because Lynch put this team together.
Lynch is going to stay because Lynch has good players on defense and on offense. What he doesn't have is a coach that can get them to the promised land.
We're going to get to that, Rick, at some point. I promise you. I don't know if we'll get into it today, but we're going to dive into Carl's past because we know he had a run in with a coach at one point.
So here's the thing. So Shanahan has his pick, right, and he's going with Garoppolo. Was that a bad decision?
Got him to a Super Bowl,
right? Okay, so this year they're going to get rid of Garoppolo, and they're going to have to start that quarterback.
Well, he didn't draft him, and I'm sure he had some say in his drafting. So, those guys' future is hinged on Trey Lance and whether he's an NFL quarterback or not.
Is Trey Lance a quarterback? I mean, we forgot to mention about Chicago and why they're in a good situation is because Fields looks like he's a good deal, right? So, what do we know about Trey Lance?
Nothing yet.
Nothing.
So, but again, Shanahan he's got this team in the playoffs right now when they were nowhere just 6 weeks ago.
If you look at the roster and you see the team, they should be in the playoffs, man.
Where? I mean, where's the great players on this team? I don't,
look at this. They got a good tight end. Kittle.
They have never healthy, by the way. Never healthy, Kittle.
He wasn't a factor yesterday either. They had that wide receiver, Debo. The problem right now is the running back can't stay healthy. They don't have a running game. That's a big problem right there. And if you play the Shanahan playbook, you need a running game.
Well, I will give you this much: if they had a running game, they would have not lost that Super Bowl with a 28-3 lead.
If they had a running game, Titans wouldn't have won yesterday either. So,
good point. Oh God, I wanted to bet the Titans last night. I love home dogs, and stupid me didn't get chickened
out.
Go
Titans. Tighten up.
Seattle, we kind of touched on already. I don't think Pete Carroll's going anywhere yet. Pete Carroll will decide when he wants to go, though. He's not getting fired.
Yeah, I think that's a problem Seattle, right? That's the problem Seattle has, right? It's like Pete Carroll's not going anywhere, but he's going to decide.
Actually, you've got Shanahan fired. So who's the head coach there? Who are you going to hire there?
Hey, look, that might be a better fit for Dan Quinn than Seattle. Being as it may that they have a good defense, right?
That might be a good fit for Dan Quinn, but again, I'm not a big fan of Dan Quinn, so I'm not sure to give him any job if I were hiring. Of course, I'm not gonna be. So,
right? Yeah, we're not the ones with the big pockets, right? How about Kellen Moore?
Rick doesn't think Fields is a good deal. I think Fields will. If Fields stays healthy, he'll be a good quarterback. Nagy is the problem there, and I think that's the problem. I'm going to give Fields a pass until he gets a head coach that can actually handle a quarterback because you ruin again. I keep going back to this over and over again. I think Trubisky.
I don't know why you like Trubisky so much. Nobody in the NFL is willing to bend over backwards and make him another starter. So
he's going to be a starter somewhere next year.
If he's a starter, it's because somebody got hurt and he was the backup.
Again, I can see him. There's a couple situations. You don't think that Sean Payton would like to have him?
No, not at all.
Over the two guys he's got.
No, Taysom Hill's a way better weapon than Trubisky.
Yeah, he's a good weapon to have on your team, but not your starting quarterback to get you to a Super Bowl. He cannot do that. He's a nice guy to have as a change-up player, and that type of thing. But
one of the tools that Louisiana's missing is their wide receiver, man. Right? So Taysom Hill, he can throw the ball. He just ain't got nobody to throw it to that's consistent.
All right, I'll give you that. Let's move on to the AFC. We get up a lot of time with the NFC. The AFC, New England Patriots, Bill Belichick will likely now retire when Mac Jones retires, so he'll be 90 years old himself as well.
He's in a Pete Carroll situation himself.
Yeah, he's going nowhere till he wants. And the big question in New England is, again, you mentioned McDaniel to the Rams. McDaniel's going to have another decision, which, to be honest with you, when he left Indianapolis at the altar 3 or 4 years ago, I said he'll never get another job offer. But he gets them every year. And the question is going to be, does he want to wait around for this job? Because Belichick's not going anywhere for probably the next decade.
But here's another thing. If you think about it, if Lynch doesn't get McVay out of there, right, and doesn't pick up this guy, McDaniels, where else will he go?
Oh, I got McDaniels would be a fit for a couple of, but he would fit with the Browns if they decided to move on from what's his name, Stevanich.
I mean, well, so if Shanahan goes and McDaniels doesn't go there, how about McDaniels take McVay's job? That's what I meant to say.
Oh, yeah, no, I got what. Yeah, you mixed up Lynch and
yeah.
And the
McVay and Shanahan, same tree, same junk.
I could see, look at Josh McDaniels is going to get another job, and it's not going to be the head coach of the Patriots as much as he wanted it when he turned down the Indianapolis job, because I don't think he thought Bill Belichick was going to find another franchise quarterback, which we'll debate another time. He has.
I mean, a lot of said McDaniels didn't do so well in Denver, but
no. But they're Bill Belichick in Cleveland, so some guys can rebound from that. Not everybody. I don't think Dan Quinn's that guy. But
look, if I'm McDaniels, I go to a stacked team, and right now the team that looks the most stacked, that has a availability, and that he can actually probably run would be either the Rams or the 49ers.
Well, the jobs have to be open, and neither one of those jobs are going to be open.
Oh, of course they will be. You gotta get rid of McVay if he don't win with all that talent, man. You got to get rid of him.
Unless they flame out.
And Shanahan, they both playing the same offense, and they're both not going to make it anywhere. So they both should be on the ship. Sayonara.
We're going to send everybody who ever talked to anybody in the Shanahan family to an island like a leper colony here. So Buffalo Bills and McDermott. I don't think he's in any trouble.
He's not in trouble, but he's very close.
If he's not in trouble this year, then next year he better. Especially because here's the one thing you got to think about: if the Bills decide they don't want to lose Brian Daboll to another team, that's when McDermott could be in trouble with the Bills.
The Bills. Oh man,
I'm going to say he's safe this year.
He's safe
unless they promote Brian Daboll.
But you know what they got to do, man? They got to protect that quarterback, because he's not, as much as they paying him, he's not going to be able to produce if he's lying on his back or heading towards the sideline every.
Well, good point. I mean, I'm not saying there's not problems there. They got to fix. They need a running. Talk about running game. This team
running game. Well, if you fix the O-line, you're going to have a running game,
right? Their defense has played better.
The defense is okay. Yeah, the defense is okay. They maybe one or two more players on the defense side, some consistency. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Let's move on to the Dolphins. I think Brian Flores is more than safe.
He's
early
safe.
in the year,
he's not going nowhere.
Trouble, but he's done a great job turning his team around, and I think they'll make the playoffs. And I wouldn't want to play him in the playoffs. And in fact, the Patriots got to play him the last week of the season, and what might be a very important football game for both teams. So Flores is safe. We've talked about the Jets situation. I don't know. Salam.
I don't understand why you would not give this guy an opportunity if you brought him in, right? Apparently he's supposed to be a good defensive mind, all this. They had that incident with the coordinator that passed away in the offseason.
Yep, that was a tough one, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you sign him, give him another year. He's got to surround himself with some winning coaches, man.
Yeah.
He picked up LaFleur's little brother, and this guy's – it's not that he's not a good offensive mind, but you don't have that kind of offense to run, with a new quarterback like that. You don't – with the rookie quarterback, you can't run these these tough technical plays, man. It's not going to work.
I think his biggest mistake, you're right, was bringing in LaFleur because he needed a seasoned veteran at least at that offensive coordinator position, because he's a defensive guy, and he didn't do that. But the team's played more competitive recently, and that's all the Jet fans could have expected this year anyway, is that they play competitively and that Wilson start to show some progress, and they're starting to make tiny little steps in that direction. So I think Salam's safe.
Yeah, Salam's safe.
Let's move on to the North. AFC North, Cincinnati Bengals. I keep reading things that he's in trouble. I don't understand how he can be in trouble.
He's safe right now.
Yeah, he's got to be safe. He's done a good job, and they're going to probably. I think they're going to win that division myself, and I don't know what more you could have asked out of this guy. In his second year with Joe Burrow, and
let's get some consistency though, right? Let's play 2 good games, 1 bad game, 3 good games, 1 bad. It's like, come on.
Again, you got a head coach still feeling his way a little bit and learning. You got a quarterback who's still feeling his way and learning. I think for this team to be 8-6, you're going to have some ups and downs, right? If you don't have balance one way or the other, you're going to have some struggles. But
and they're running. They got the running game too. Mixon's not. They got.
Yeah, I think the pieces are all there for this team to really take a jump next year, and that's
going
to be an important season for Taylor.
They need to do is find somebody to be behind Mixon, because once he's out of the game, man, it looks like the game changes to an aerosol, and you can't have that if you want to mix it up.
Agreed. Let's see what's Alan saying here. Salah stays. Okay, good. Agreed. AFC is just a jumble. It is a jumbled mess. I agree.
I know. I've been saying that for.
I'm on that cult. I went to the wrong division here. Ravens, John Harbaugh. I think John Harbaugh's safe for.
He's a Pete Carroll situation, right? He's the same thing as Shanahan, right? He's going to go when he feels like it, right?
I think there was a time when I said that he might have been in trouble before they got Lamar Jackson, and as long as Lamar Jackson is a viable NFL quarterback, Harbaugh will walk away when he wants. He's a good football coach. Consistency is everything in this league, and because you don't get much of it, and he's a very consistent coach, and that team is a very consistent winner. Not a big winner every year, but a winner. An interesting situation to me is the Steelers situation and Mike Tomlin. I think Mike Tomlin's had it. I think he's done, and I think he walks away on his own.
You know what Mike Tomlin needs is to get rid of that quarterback.
Well, the quarterback's gone. The quarterback's gone. So, but the problem is
he should have got rid of him 3 years ago, and he would have been in a better situation.
But you need a replacement.
But that's what you do, right? You have your OCs. Mike Tomlin is frustrated because they kept, Roethlisberger on the roster, and he's already been in the last 4 years. He's been to 3 coordinators, OCs.
Yeah.
And if you're a head coach, before those 3 OCs, how many offensive coordinators did he have? Maybe 2, maybe.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And then he goes. Year after year after year with different OCs, that's not good, man. There's no consistency. It's not good for him. It's not good for the team, along with the players that are coming in and out. Because, you had that situation with the running backs and the wide receivers and all that junk. And now you signed Juju. You got two good receivers, right? You got your running game's pretty good. So, I think Tomlin just needs to get an OC that's going to be there, that's in for the long haul, and that's going to use your team to the best, to the best position ever. You just got to get rid of the quarterback.
Yeah, well, I agree, and I do think there's a chance Tomlin walks away, but I think he stays, and they're going to try to fix this team. There's some talent there. I mean, obviously,
talent in Pittsburgh, man, and that defense is going to keep him.
Yeah.
In as a head coach, I mean, that's his thing. You're right. He's a defensive minded guy. He's
right.
His defense has always been has been okay or on par. Right. So,
let's move on to the Browns. Kevin Stefanski. I think that's another interesting case. He hasn't done, he got them to the playoffs last year, got them actually, a play away from being in the championship game.
Stefanski stays.
Play. And, And I think some of the injuries and the COVID stuff is probably going to keep him there. I think the Browns have their eyes down the road on Ryan Day at Ohio State. And
I think they have their eyes on Mike Eberflus from the Colts.
Interesting. You think Stefanski's out this year or not?
No, he stays. But if they do, I think they bring in Matt or somebody who's defensive minded, because I think they wanna focus in on their defense, and even though offense is the name of the game, you can't stop Green Bay and you can't stop Minnesota, man. You're not gonna get,
Yeah, I agree. Let's move on to the South. Tennessee Titans. Mike Vrabel's definitely safe. He's safe. A really good head coach. He's done a tremendous job with Ryan Tannehill, and losing the best running back in football to keep this
still winning
afloat is amazing what he's done. not just afloat, but they're in the running for the best record in the AFC still. Great job. Coach of the year, maybe.
Ooh, interesting.
Along with one Bill Belichick, my number candidates. Frank Reich, obviously safe in Indianapolis. Not much to say there. He's done a tremendous job. And
his coordinators aren't safe.
No, but Carson Wentz, who wasn't asked to do much against the Patriots a couple of weeks ago, but Carson Wentz has had a little bit of a revival. I don't know that I want to rely on him, but the guy's thrown 22 touchdowns and 7 interceptions this year and playing decent football. And that's with a really bad start to the season. He was horrendous the first month.
Yeah, I mean, like Frank Reich got his head straight.
Yeah, I agree. Great job.
Frank Reich always surrounds himself with smart, intelligent coordinators, man. Like, everybody always poaches on his teams, man. So he's got to be careful over there and put the lockdown on some of these guys.
Steelers are LaFleur coach of the year. I don't know about LaFleur.
LaFleur, come on, man. Come on.
Listen, Bill Belichick's going to have to get some love in this vote this year. I can tell you right now. He's done one of his best coaching jobs this year.
You want to make a coach look great, surrounded by great players.
Well, they're not great players, but again, he integrated a bunch of new guys. This isn't you just.
No, I'm talking about Green Bay, man.
I'm sorry.
They got Jones. They got Rodgers. Come on, man. They got that defense.
Rodgers doesn't have good players. Don't you read the paper? He doesn't. He thinks his team stinks. God, how would you like to play with that guy, for crying out loud? He thinks everybody stinks on the team.
The Jaguars, man.
Houston Texans. David Culley, first-year coach. I keep reading he's going to get fired.
Yeah, they keep saying that, right?
But this team, how does this team even won 3 games? I mean, we got the whole Watson controversy. They traded everybody that had any talent on this team almost. I think Culley's going to they can't fire him after 1 year. Finding a way to win 3 games at least with this team. Not that it's a good football team, but I think he's got to get another shot. And they got to get him some talent.
How about this? Kellen Moore stays in Texas. Houston's the team. They'll give him a shot. They got nothing else to lose.
I think Kellen Moore's going to have better choices than that.
Yeah, but here's the thing, man. You're going to have better choices. It's not up to him at the end of the day, right? He don't get to pick where he gets to work.
He might. You get several job offers. You get to choose. I don't
think James Woods.
Job.
How about James Woods from the Cleveland Browns?
Possibility. But again, you're going to fire a first-year coach with this roster, and you're going to blame him for the failings of the organization in general?
Organization's a mess because they got to mess with the administration, man.
Yeah.
Right?
I think Culley's got to get another shot.
Well, who's going to be the quarterback? Is Watson coming back?
Look, I stand by my prediction. Deshaun Watson will never play in the NFL again. Never.
Oh, man,
the Texans for sure. I don't think he plays in the NFL at all.
You know what he should do is he should talk to The Rock and they should put him in the XFL. Make it exciting.
Alan says bring in Moore to offensive coordinator and he's not going to Kellen Moore is not going to move to another offensive coordinator position. He's moving to a head coaching position. He's going to stay the offensive coordinator for the Cowboys.
Yeah, Dallas is a good job. Why would you move from there, right?
Yeah,
unless you become a head coach, right?
Maybe the head coach, as Carlos said. But anyway, let's move on to the Jacksonville Jaguars. There's only one name in my mind, and that's going to be Byron Leftwich, unless obviously. How come I lost Buccaneers coach? Was Bruce Arians decides to retire, which I don't think is likely, because Leftwich would be the best choice there. Failing that, I think he goes back to the team that he played his best football with, the Jacksonville Jaguars, as the head coach.
Yeah, I was thinking that too. Tampa Bay. I think if anything, Leftwich would love to stay in Florida, right? Because that's where he's from, right?
Don't rule out Leftwich in Pittsburgh, by the way, if Tomlin walks away.
Yeah, I was going to say that too. I was like, maybe he'll come back and play for Tomlin, right? No, but here
he'll be able to play. If I watch some of these guys I'm watching play quarterback, I think Leftwich could probably still play.
How about Eric Bieniemy? Where is he going?
Eric Bieniemy's got to get a job.
Why wouldn't Jacksonville be a great place for him to start?
Oh, God. But, I mean, here's the problem.
He'd have the whole slate to start.
Yeah.
Freshman,
yeah, maybe.
I can see him there because he's got quarterback. He's got
I got another landing spot for Bieniemy actually coming up. Let's move to the West. Kansas City Chiefs. Andy Reid's not going anywhere.
Not going nowhere.
Doesn't matter how bad his clock management is. He's never not going anywhere. The Chargers. He's done a good job there.
He's safe.
This team he's safe. The team's probably going to make the playoffs, and the Raiders, they're going to make a hire. I say, and I'm going to lump these two teams together. The Raiders and the Broncos are both going to fire their coaches. Well, I'm sorry, they already fired a coach in Las Vegas, but I think the Broncos and the Raiders are going to end up with one of them gets more, one of them gets Bieniemy, and I think that's what's going to be how that whole situation hashes out. Which is good.
How about Raheem Morris to the Raiders, Las Vegas Raiders?
Well, maybe. Again, Morris is going to get a lot of it's the offensive guys that people really like, though. You know, they like hot offensive coordinator.
Here's my thing. My take is that even if you're a defensive-minded coach, you still got to surround your guys with a good coaching staff, man.
If I'm Kellen Moore, the Raiders intrigue me because they got some talent at the
a lot of talent, man.
And I think he probably thinks he can fix Carr.
I don't think Carr stays, man. I don't think he stays.
Depends on what happens with the coaching situation, I think. So unless they have a better option, right? And I think I'll say Moore goes to Raiders, Bieniemy goes to Broncos because Fangio's out as well. I mean, he's had his chance there.
I mean, some people think he might even get one more year.
Well,
he's surrounded by some good staff members.
Who would we miss as these jobs come open? Let's not forget we talked about a lot of the hot assistant coaches. Some retreads will come up, as Kenny said earlier, and then you got the college coaches to watch out for. I really don't think anybody's coming out of college this year except Patrick Fitzgerald from Northwestern going to Chicago, as I said. But the next couple of years, you got to keep your eye on Ryan Day, Luke Fickell, Jeff Brom from Purdue,
Jared Mayo.
Jared Mayo from the Patriots. His name has been bandied about for sure. He's done a great job.
I think Jared Mayo would be a perfect fit for maybe BC. How about that?
Maybe.
Want to stay around that area in Mass.
Yeah. So anyway, that's our look around the league. Before we go, we got a couple of minutes, and we got no time to get into the college thing because I do want to touch on Buc Showalter real quick. I'm going to do a vlog on that here in a little bit. That'll be up later on, guys. I'm in favor of this. I know Carlos is not in favor of this. I think it's a perfect fit for the Mets. The only thing Buck hasn't done is win a World Series. He's turned around 4 franchises that were in dismal shape and changed the culture at the same time and made them winners. And in some cases with very, again, challenged teams. Like the Orioles were not really good teams. There were some good players like Machado, but they weren't complete teams by any stretch of the imagination. And this is a team built to win now with bringing in Scherzer and some of the free agent signings that they've made. You cannot bring an inexperienced guy in like the 2 other guys that the
2 other guys weren't inexperienced. That's where the issue is, right? The 2 other guys have the same experience as Buck, only they've been on World Series winning teams.
They never managed in the majors, neither one of them. What are you talking about?
They don't have to manage and be part of a team and still and have a good match. Look, you want a good.
How are the Mets done? They've hired now 3 if you count Beltran. Never got a chance to manage.
Beltran didn't manage anybody.
Well, he got hired. 3 first-time managers has not worked out. Callaway was a disaster.
Okay, so,
Rojas, again, circumstances were not in his favor. But you need an experienced hand right now.
So we got Buc Showalter. Okay, fine. It's a win now ready team, right? And if he comes out with this attitude, his problematic issues with people, and he the media here in New York has been flip-flopped anyways on whether he's a good hire or not, right? Before he was hired, they all wanted him.
He's
right?
got
Buck. Now they're hiring him like, oh, why do we have Buck? It's like the media is crazy here in New York, and so are fans. But the situation is this: he's our coach. He's the coach now for the Mets. We gotta, you gotta support him if you're a fan, and you gotta wait to see what happens. Like he's got people like Machado on his side saying that he's helped him out with his skills and his baseball and his acumen, all these things. Okay, fine. We'll see. I don't believe that he's going to mesh well with some of these players on the team like Marte, who they brought in. I don't, if there's injuries, he's gonna be frustrated, and these young guys are gonna come in to replace any injured players from the minor leagues. If they're not ready to hear from Buc, he's gonna probably have enough. He's gonna probably be like Tony La Russa, probably gonna have a guy be like, "Yo, man, I'm out of here. I retire at a young age." Who knows? But one thing's for sure, don't think that this is not a messy Mets situation, because it can be.
It could be,
and it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be because it's Buc, right? But it can be, and that to me is my issue with Buc.
Buc's that in the messy situations in New York, with the Yankees, with Texas, and with Baltimore, and he succeeded every place he went.
But
he doesn't have that World Series.
Everybody says succeeded, but at the end of the day, he hasn't won the big one, the World Series, and that's the most important thing to any fan who's paying money, and for any owner who's paying money for these players. You want a World Series championship.
And who gives you a better chance, Buc Showalter or Spada?
Hey, listen, they always talk about, he's a player's coach. He's not a player's coach. We have no choice in the matter anymore. Buc is the coach, and you're either with him or you're not. That's it.
And look at coming down on these guys a little bit is okay, by the way. Let these guys know they don't run the organization.
But you have to understand, we had a conversation on the phone. We had a conversation on the phone about this. These players nowadays, they're not just commodities, man. They're not just players and athletes. They're image, right? They have an image. They're a brand. You know what I'm saying? So you tarnish or you put any little bit on it, whether you're a basketball player, football player, soccer player, or anything, right? Is that if you look bad in any kind of way, in any slight, then the back end of that is like contractual, right? Your contract's going to be messed with. You're going to try to get the highest money for as possible. And if you're tarnished in any way, it's a bad sell, right? And everything's about money nowadays. So, and on top of that, you have a union that backs you and says, "Hey, let's try to take care of you." So that way you can keep.
Just like every other job in this country, how about going out and being a good employee and a good teammate and doing the things you're getting paid to do, and you'll get your money. If you're a problem, you won't.
Right. So the issue here is that not only have things changed with time, but also that money matters more than anything else at the end of the day. At your job, it's not like that. At your job, you don't have the money to control whether you get more or not. You go to work, and if the boss likes you, then you get more money. If the boss don't like you, you still might not get more money, but you have an opportunity maybe to move up.
My boss doesn't like me if I do a good job.
Baseball, football, NBA, soccer, it's not like that, man. It's not like that. Look, coaches come and go, players come and go, but the owners who got the money, they're going to stay no matter what. So, and they might not have the last say, but at the end of the day, they have the team, and that's what it is,
Yeah, I agree with Rick here. If you're tarnished, you did the tarnishing.
Oh yeah, right. Of course. Like, let's look. We just talked about Watson, right? We don't know if he's going to come back to the NFL ever, right? But he's such a good player that if he goes to Canadian Football League or XFL, people are going to pay to watch him play.
Yeah, well, I hope they enjoy him in Canada because I don't see him ever playing here. Listen, we got to wrap it up. Carlos, thanks a lot. Listen, you have a Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, Keith. Good job today.
All of you guys, thanks for tuning in today. I hope you have a great Christmas. We're going to jump over to the Mac and Jack show now for a few minutes. No show on Sunday unless I find a way to sneak a half hour or something in there, which I may try to do. If not, we'll be back with the College Football Huddle next Wednesday. We'll be back here with Are You Serious with the Mad New Yorker next Friday. And you guys all enjoy the Christmas holiday, whatever holiday it is you do celebrate.
Merry Christmas. Happy holidays, guys. Good job, Keith.